All right, we're working in the Red Big Ideas Record and Practice Journal today. Today we're on 9.3 and we're working through surface area of cylinders. Again, we're getting into some what I would call mildly complicated formulas. And this one for sure has a formula that we will be using, but I just want to begin by saying, what would the net look like of this cylinder? Well, if you drew the net, you would end up with a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom, and then essentially you would end up with a rectangle in the middle. So as I go through the formula, I'm going to try to highlight what parts of the net we're completing at what time. So wish me luck here. Our formula for surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Okay, so far so good. Now, when we find surface area of a cylinder, we need two measurements. We need this measurement here, the radius, which is 4, and we need this measurement here, which actually is the height, even though it's kind of laying down. That's going to be the height of our cylinder. So when we do 2 pi r squared, first thing we want to do is we want to get 4 in there. So we're going to go 4 squared times 3.14 times 2. So if we do 4 squared, we get 16 times 3.14 times 2. We get 100.48. Now, basically what I've done is I have just done the area of a circle, pi r squared, and this area of the circle, pi r squared. And that's why I have that 2 there, because I've done 2 of those circles. So 2 pi r squared gives me the area of my 2 circles. So that circle's done, that circle's done, because it combined it's 100.48. So now we have to add it to this part, 2 pi r h. Now the h, that's the height, that's given. So we know the h is there. But where does this 2 pi r come from? Well, if you think about it, if you rolled it up, this would actually be the circumference. And the circumference is pi times d. That's a little hard to read, but pi times d. Take my word for it. And instead of having pi times d, they kind of want to make sure our formula has the same consistency. If we're using r over here, we really don't want to use d over here, because then you got to convert back and forth with the r and the d. So we're going to actually change pi rd to this, pi r times 2. So if we do pi times d for circumference, it's going to be the same as 2 pi r, and then we're going to take that and times it by the height. So now we just want to plug those numbers in. The height is 10, so it's 10 times 4 times 3.14 times 2, and I actually ran out of room, so I'm going to put the times 2 over there. So 3.14 times 4 times 10 times 2 is 251.2. So this is 251.2. This is 100.48. We simply add those two together. Now, we told you the first part, the 100.48, were the 2 circles. So this part is the 2 pi r times h. That's that rectangle there. So if we add them together, we get 351.68, and that would be meters squared. 351.68 meters squared. Now we're going to do the next cylinder, but I'm going to just kind of fly through it with the formula. So we know our formula is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Okay, now I'm just going to plug in the numbers in the right spots. Okay, so 2 pi r squared, my radius is 9, so I'm going to go 9 squared times 3.14 times 2. That's one part, plus 2 times 3.14 times r, which is still 9, times the height, and this time the height is 6. Now you have to make sure you find one and then find the other, so you have to add them together when you're done. The first thing I want to do is 9 times 9, which is 81. So I'm going to do 81 times 3.14 times 2. And this is 508.68. And again, that takes care of the top part and the bottom part. Now we just have the rectangle around the outside. 9 times 6 times 3.14 times 2 is 339.12. So I'm going to take 508 and 339 and add those together. And I'm going to get 847.8. 847.8 feet squared. And that would be the surface area. Now I know it takes a little bit to kind of explain where the formula comes from, but once you have that formula down, 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh, once you have that formula down, you can find the surface area of cylinders.